you want to buy real assets with it. You want to buy shares. You want to build businesses. You want to buy real estate. You want to buy things that go up in value over time and produce cash flow. And that's how wealth is created. It's the accumulation of assets. It's not your income. People get that mixed up. They think that a high income means wealth. It's not. It's owning a lot of assets.
Hello, and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems, and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I'm really excited. I've got Sam Panetta here. He looks after me. He's amazing. He works for a company called Aureus. And welcome to the show, Sam.
Mate, I'm excited to be here. I know all about what you do, and you're out there helping the world. And I've been excited all week to get on here and do what I can to push the mission forward, mate.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And look, I would love for our listeners to get to know, a little bit about you, Sam, specifically, like what your background is, where you've struggled a little bit in life, and where you are now.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Where do you want me to start?
Well, let's start with you. Like, who's Sam?
So today, Sam Panetta is two things. I strive to be two things in life. I strive to be a family man, and I strive to be a businessman. I made the decision a long time ago that I wasn't going to be everything to everyone. And I just wanted to pick a couple of things that were really important to me. And those were the two recurring factors, just kept coming back over and over again. Want to be a good husband, want to be a good dad, want to be good to all my family and friends, and want to pursue my passion in business and as an investor. So that's who I am.
That's fantastic, mate. And where were you before? Like, what was it? Who was Sam before Sam is the way he is now? Because like we had a chat. I did your astrology reading a while ago, and we had a bit of a chat about that. So where were your struggles? Like where was Sam not the best man he could have been?
Man, I'll take it all the way back to the start because it's important to start at the beginning. So my parents were 15, 16 when I was born. All right. So they were super young. And I grew up with in the house with my nonno and my nonna and my uncles, and I had a bunk bed set up with my uncles. One was 18, one was 13. So I was just like this little plaything that sort of popped out, hello. And so my experience through life had been unique even from back then. That's not your sort of typical family setup. And it really helped carve me because of one of the things that my grandfather always says, that I grew up with four dads, my dad, my two uncles, and my grandfather. So I had a lot of really good influences sort of early on in my life. And I think growing up, being the oldest in my generation by a very far gap, I always wanted to be around adults. So I grew up relatively quickly. Went to school, really enjoyed school. I was always trying to sell things. I was always trying to run little businesses. I'd go to the beach and get pretty shells. And my grandfather had a barber shop, so I'd set up a desk there and I'd sell my shells for 50 cents or $1 to the customers of the barber shop, depending on how pretty the shells were. Right, so I had a range, and it was stuff like that I used to do all the time when I was a little kid. So I loved primary school. Really learnt a lot, and I could pick things up. And then I got to high school and I had the shits. I don't know why. I just had the shits. And I think I struggled a little bit more in high school than I did in primary school. I probably blued with people, a bit of a too strong of a personality type, and I didn't particularly know how to deal with everyone very well. So I didn't have a great time in high school. Ended up dropping out, became a spray painter, so spray painting apprentice, and it was my. They said to me that you're going to go in a virgin and come out a prostitute, right? That was the way they described doing an apprenticeship at 15 years of age, and you did. You had to grow up. You did, because you were a little kid. You've been at school your whole life, and you get thrusted to hanging around with these 40, 50-year-old rough dudes, and you grow up pretty quickly. So I met a bloke there. He's passed away since. He was an amazing person. He was my probably first mentor in life for financial matters. He was the boss at the smash repair shop I worked for, but he was an avid property investor. And he taught me heaps of cool stuff. Right? He taught me heaps of cool stuff about how money works and all that jazz that I didn't know before. And I ended up buying my first property when I was 18. Right, I worked super hard. I had to bring my uncles and my cousins and stuff with me to the open homes because the real estate agents wouldn't talk to me because I looked like a little kid, and they thought I was mucking around. So I wasn't. I wasn't mucking around. Ended up buying a property, and it was a really young age, and it was a really big thing. And I was still a little bit full on for everyone. I was trying to tell my family, all my friends, to buy real estate and do this and do that. To which they quite got annoyed at it because they're just trying to have fun and go to schoolies. And I'm like, no, buy some real estate. So it was on totally two different wavelengths. And my teenage years and my early 20s were, they were dictated by that. Like I worked a lot and I sacrificed a lot. And I sort of missed out on a lot of the things that the other teenager guys were doing, which was it wasn't a happy place to be in. You're not supposed to work that much and have no other interests and no other hobbies. I'd, have my friends that I would rarely see. I blew with all my girlfriends because all I wanted to do was go to work and make money. And it was a very one-sided or one-dimensional way of being. And it wasn't congruent to producing happiness, basically. And then it turns out I met my wife when I was 21 on my 21st birthday. She turned 18 the same day, so we share the same birthday. Met my wife in my backyard, and she's just a really good human. She's an amazing person, and I'd try the same tricks on her that I was doing to everyone else in my life, and she'd know how to shut it down. And I quickly learned, like, stop being a prick, Sam. And I did. It's a brutal way to say, but it's the honest truth of it. And I think a lot of her rubbed off on me. And then I started to change where, I wanted to start doing good things to people. I wanted to start, have people wanting them for me to be around because I would produce a good positive energy. And then I basically tapped out early on in the marriage, in the smash repair industry. I thought, like, I've got to do bigger things. And because I was uneducated, I was a high school dropout. It was hard. So went back to school, done some learning, got a job with a finance firm in the city, and I got exposed to like big money for the first time ever. Guys that were making millions. Big dollar dudes, and they weren't working like how I was working, like a dog. They were working smart. And my attitude towards money started to change, and I hurt my back and was in the lead up to the wedding, and we were renovating an apartment, and I was bedridden, and I was like, man, this is the worst. It sucked. I felt like I was useless. My whole personality type was tied to being able to make money. And there I was in my bed, and my wife was getting up and going to work and coming home and supporting us. So it was a real low point. But that was the launch pad. That was the launch pad, because at that point, I ultimately decided that when it comes to money, I want to have a balanced life, and I work in the money game now. So I froth over it. I love it. I get to talk about money to people all day, every day. And then I also had that thing where I wanted to do good. I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to have people around me. And it was probably in my mid-20s when that happened, and everything in my life has changed since then. It's progressively gotten better and better and better. My relationships with everyone are better. My attitude towards work's better. My decision making is better. My health's better, and it's just sort of gone from strength to strength. And a lot of it came down to that decision of like, who are you, mate, and who do you want to be? And that was probably the most powerful turning point. Now I'm just trying to just snowball it, mate. Do better and better things, and impact, society, community, family, friends as much as I can.
That is such a good story. Getting to know your background and that sort of thing. Because when I'm going to just give you a little bit of feedback, I had my first meeting with you. I can't remember when it was. It was last year sometime. We were on the phone. We didn't meet in person, obviously, because of COVID and everything that was going on. And we're different towns. So, we just spoke on the phone, and I was really, really scared of you.
What? I need to know why. Why.
The reason why is because I have this weakness, like money's always been my kryptonite, and even talking about it was really hard for me. And I was going to be talking, you and Jackson were the same. I was like, oh my God, because what I experienced and the experiences that I had with people with money is that they were going to manipulate me. They were going to take something from me. They were just going to shonk me. Right. And then our conversation completely changed my attitude. I felt like your tone and your language and everything that you were communicating, it felt like you were being my dad. It just felt like, hey, Jay, it's going to be okay. I'm here to look after you. And I asked you some questions around money, and we had a bit of a chat about how come this is not being taught in schools and all this sort of stuff, because people fall into people like you, Sam. Right? People don't just go, then we're not educated at school around this. And so my education around this, and I'd spent lots of times with people just going, I'm just going to take your money and I'm going to give you the one finger salute and then manipulate you. That's what I experienced. So I was just expecting, I'm going to give these two a shot, Jackson and Sam. I'll see if these guys are the same. It was like my last call, really, to see if these two men were actually good people around finances. And now when I hear your story, it really makes sense and resonates why I felt so safe, because your attitude is two things: educating people around money and being happy and loving it, which I can see now how your attitude I need to learn from. Like, and everybody who's listening right now really needs to learn the attitude that you have around money. So we'll go to that. And then just the goodness, like the wanting to be a better person every day, wanting to be a better father, and not being a father, being a dad. Like you could have been a father, which is just go to work. You could have gone down that path. Instead, you become a daddy. I see my favorite backstories. I always look at people's Facebook posts. My favorite ones with you are with your family. It makes me feel safer because I see how much you love your little ones and the reverence that you spoke about with your wife and how she turned you around into the person you are today. And sometimes it's an influence that does that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because I think you don't know what you don't know, Jason. Do you know what I mean? Whether it comes to money and there's the fear of money, or whether it's, how you build relationships with people, you only know what you know. And it does take other people in life to help teach you and steer you in the right direction for anything, so you can expand yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's really, really important. So, Sam, can you help the listeners understand your attitude around money? I mean, you started really early. You and I could hear this journey of arrogance to chest being, hey, I'm doing this, to now, like, what's your attitude now? It doesn't matter what the past is. I just want to know how you think, where you go, because you've basically given me something really, really special. And Aureus has done this this company is ridiculously good, by the way, listeners. They're basically all such good humans, and everyone. I've not met an idiot in your company. I don't know what you're doing well, but it's working. Everyone is so nice and kind, and the way that you express finance for the people who have struggled with this word money, you've turned me into wealth. You've converted me, and that's the difference. Like, you do money, but you do wealth, and they're two contrasting things, aren't they? So I'm going to leave it to you to explain this, because I am the nuff. You're the expert. So tell me what this is all about.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, and people aren't going to expect this answer. So a lot of my passion for money, it came from when I was younger, and we didn't have as much money as everyone else, because when your parents are 15, you don't have as much money as everyone else. That's just nature, right? That's natural for it to be that way. And I'd have like a no brand scooter, and the other guys would have the best brands. And if I'd lose my jumper at school, I wouldn't ask mum and dad for a new jumper, because I knew they didn't have the money. So I would just, you know what I mean? I'd do things like that, and that's a little bit of what probably gave me the shits as a teenager. I was basically jealous. I was basically jealous, but I had this underlying drive that I was going to have money when I was older. I knew that as a kid, and so that's developed into what it is today. There was that's what sparked the interest for me to go out and learn about money, because we've spoken about it. They don't teach you it at school. They don't teach you that at school on purpose. It's at school, they're teaching people to go to work, to be employees, to continue to make the economy function. They're not teaching people to achieve financial freedom. And it makes sense that happens, because every society has to have the middle, the have-nots, and the have-mores. That's especially in a capitalist economic society. So if you want to learn about money, you've got to go out and figure it out. You've got to go learn from other people. My attitude towards money today is I love money, right? I love the topic of it. I love talking about it. I love what it does for societies, for communities, for lifestyles. And I think that's the first thing where people trip up, is that they look at money with a negative connotation. Like, money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. All those sayings that you were taught as kids. Yeah. It's even in the Bible and everything. About rich men being evil. And if you have that train of thought, that's the first thing that has to change, because you're never going to create wealth if you hate money. All right. It's just not, because it's not congruent with who you are in your soul, and your activities aren't gonna, and your decision making has to be congruent with who you are on the inside. So that's the first thing. The second thing is understanding that money in and of itself is useless. All right. It's a tool. Picture it being a hammer, Jason. You know what I mean? Or a screwdriver. That's all that money is. Right. It's a means of trade. Okay. And when you understand that, you can see that the pursuit of money for money's sake is no good. It doesn't make any sense. Like, no one just wants more money. Some people think they do, but no one does. They want what the money can bring them. And it might be anything. It might be that you want to buy a home for your family, or you want to go on holidays once a month, or you want to build a really big business, or you want to leave a lasting legacy, or you want to save the environment, things like that. Take saving in the environment as an example. If that was really your passion, you have a much higher chance of making a dent in the world if you are A, very wealthy, and B, very influential. Do you know what I mean? So if you start to perceive money as that it can be used for useful things, it completely changes the thought. So change it from hating money to loving it. Stop thinking of money as the goal and start thinking of money as a hammer. All right, they're the
I love that.
Yeah. they're the two first things. And once you get those right, and you go into the harder aspects of it, the more ones and zeros, we have to understand that over time, money decreases in value. right? That's what inflation is. That's why the coffees were $2.50 10 years ago. Now they're $4.70. It's not because the value of the coffee went up. It's because the value of the money went down, right? That's our capitalist economic system. That's what it does, right? But the value, so if they say inflation is 3%, that means the value of a dollar has gone down 3% in 1 year. So when you've got America at the moment, inflation 7%, $100 12 months ago is now worth $93 today in terms of purchasing power. So what you want to do once you've got money is you want to buy real assets with it. You want to buy shares, you want to build businesses, you want to buy real estate, you want to buy things that go up in value over time and produce cash flow. And that's how wealth is created. It's the accumulation of assets. It's not your income. People get that mixed up. They think that a high income means wealth. It's not. It's owning a lot of assets. When you look at the rich list, they don't even talk about the person's income. They only talk about the person's assets, because that's what wealth is. It's the ownership of basically as much assets as possible without going broke. So how do you do that? It starts with you. Make yourself super useful in society. Make yourself super, super useful, because the larger the impact that you make on society, the more you're going to be remunerated for it. If you're a builder and you build one house a year, you'll be paid accordingly. If you're a builder and you build 100 houses a year, you'll be paid accordingly, and you'll be paid substantially more than the guy who builds one house a year, because you're adding more value to society. You're building a home for someone. You're employing 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 people and contractors and suppliers. You're making things happen in real life, in the real economy. So that starts to make yourself more useful. Figure out in your business or in your profession how you can supercharge that. And then once you've nailed that, start buying some real estate, start buying some shares, and rinse and repeat. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. It's really, really that simple.
That's fantastic. I love the bit. I just wrote that down. And I think this is a really good flip for the listeners. Value to society. This is a big thing. I think a lot of people want to make an impact, and then they let money and the way that they think about money get in the way of the impact and the hopes, dreams, and desires that they want to achieve in life. And I know I've done that. This is why I'm getting the help from you guys to get my thinking straight and to get the support mechanism in place. Because if we want to make that real dent in society and make a big impact, then, and we have hopes and dreams, then we have to have this attitude that you're talking about, Sam.
You have to. And money helps you. Like, money helps you pursue the dream. Do you know what I mean? If you build your business, Jason, and let's say you've got 100 clients at the moment, get yourself some more money, get yourself some more advertising, then you can go to 200, 500, 1,000, and you can 10x your impact. And money's the lubricant that helps you get there. You know what I mean? And that's how you got to look at it. That's how you got to look at money.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think this is what I would love every listener to be thinking about. Aureus, your company and your ethics and what you do is amazing to me, from being a person who's experiencing the support and help from you. I got my first investment property just a little while ago. I had an investment property before, but I've got that now and looking to getting my second one, and I'm doing shares. And the coolest part about you guys is that because you know what you're doing, someone who is hopeless like me, and I'm putting my hand up, I'm not good at this, listeners. I just hand it to the experts, knowing that I'm safe based on the expertise. And I think this is so important to understand, is that I have spent time with people over the years where they've bought investment properties and they've gone downhill and they've turned into duds. And so many clients have come to see me over the years, over the last 10, 20 years as a therapist and leader in our academy. They've told me this same story. So one of the guys in the academy got a dud investment in Melbourne, and it was a 10-year dud. And so tell us about this, Sam, the magic of know-how as opposed to someone
like me who would go out, well, it's a good idea to invest in investment property when you don't know what the hell you're doing?
Yeah, and this it's a very good question. This river runs very deep, right? This river runs very deep. So when people are investing, a big thing that people don't understand, it's this probably the most important factor is the size of the bet, right? The size of the investment. You want to continue to make larger and larger bets over time. That's how guys like Warren Buffett, he's obviously a very good stock picker, but he made very huge investments consistently over a 60-year period. That's how he ended up, one of the richest men in the world. He was picking good investments, but putting size behind it. $1 million invested is better than 100,000, and 10 million is better than a million. Like that's the simple terms of it. But when it comes time to picking investments, I think that the most important thing for someone is that they shouldn't be investing in anything that they don't understand. Yeah. Right, they should stay away. It's like, I don't get involved in cryptos and NFTs and all of that. And I know a lot of people that have made a ton of money out of it. I don't understand it. I don't particularly like it, what it means for society. So I don't get involved in it. I don't allocate any capital towards it. Some people are going to make money out of it. Some people are going to lose money out of it. But if you don't understand it, don't do it. Same with shares. If you're, a lot of our clients, we invest in index funds. That's what you would be invested in, Jason, which is
I sure am.
Yeah, there you go.
You guys have set that up for me.
So it's basically a basket of the top 200 or 300 stocks in Australia and globally. And over time, we know the stock market will go up because the Australian economy will continue to grow over very long periods of time. It'll be squiggly like this, but it's a pretty safe bet in an index fund. Now, more advanced people would be, doing derivatives or picking, stocks or things like that. But that's the 1% are going to do that successfully. You know what I mean? Because the other 99%, they don't understand what they're doing. They're speculating more than actually investing, if that makes sense. And then when it comes to businesses, if people are investing in businesses, I think they should be investing in businesses that they understand and that they're passionate about, because, as all business owners know, it can get tough. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be super passionate about what the mission is of the business. And when it comes to real estate, I think that you want to get advice in real estate, but you want to get advice from the right people. There's a lot of, when you said that Melbourne property, the first thing came to my head, it was probably in one of those towers in the city on an off the plan apartment. Yeah.
You got it, mate.
Yeah.
You got it. Exactly what it was.
Yeah. Because it's a shit investment. Because oversupplying the market, it was probably brand new. So they were paying a good fee to the seller's agent. The very good commission was being paid. So they probably overpaid to begin with. They were oversupplying the market. They were paying retail price from the developer. And then all the rest of the town got filled with these towers. And then rents went down and values went down because there was too much supply for the demand for that type of property. Do you know what I mean? And that's why that would happen. And it's starting to soak it up now, and it's starting to fix itself up. And property is a very forgiving asset class if you hold it for long enough, but it's the 10-year opportunity cost that your friend had. So you want to make sure he probably got advice. He probably dealt with a real slick dude in a really nice suit that sold him that particular property. He probably didn't pay for the advice. Maybe it was structured in a way that the guy was getting commissions instead. And I think people just need to know they should still get advice. Like, I'm a massive advocate of buyer's agents. I don't even buy my own property. I pay someone to go out and find them because I think buyer's agents just have so much value. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't try to build my own house that doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I'm doing. So you get professionals involved to do it. And I think the key here with all of these things is getting advice from the right people. And that's where it's tricky, Jason, because as you said, you've dealt with people like us before and they shafted you. And then you dealt with us. We're the same as those people. We're classified as the same, except we've done the right thing. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's really something that when you're dealing with money, understand it. Even if you're dealing with someone and you don't understand it, keep asking questions until you do. If it's too complicated, it doesn't need to be that complicated. The best investments are very simple, very easy to understand. And make sure that you trust the people that you're working with and on for good reason. I only other alternative is to learn about the subject for oneself, but that is a very steep learning curve, and it could provide analysis paralysis, they call it, where you don't do anything because you're just learning. And then that's an opportunity cost within itself. I know people that haven't bought a property, they started looking in 2015 and they're still waiting for the market to crash. They're still waiting to learn more and get a bargain. And that itself is a losing bet, Yeah. Does that make sense? That was a pretty long-winded answer, but I tried to cover it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah, it really does make sense. So what would you suggest people to do who were looking to get help and they didn't know where to look? So where would you go to actually make sure you got the right person?
So I think the first step that you would do is talk to friends, family, associates of yours that have achieved what you're trying to achieve and have successfully done that with somebody, because you trust that person to not lead you astray, and they've proven that whoever they've worked with has been able to help them deliver on the result. So I think that would be the most foolproof way to go. Other than that, I think it'd be a matter of checking people out on basic social media, Facebook, Google, things like that. Go on the website, check out the testimonials, check out the reviews to make sure that they're worth their salt. And then I think your third step really is to meet these people. To meet these people that you're considering working with, to see if, A, are they the right fit? B, do you get along with them? C, are they trustworthy? And D, are they going to help you actually achieve your lifestyle and financial goals? So that would probably be the 3-step process I would take in picking someone to help you with your money.
Great. Thanks so much. Now, I want to backtrack just a little bit. You said something about crypto. You wouldn't suggest it as a good thing because of society. What do you mean by that? What does that mean?
So when I allocate my money, my capital, I want to allocate it to things that are useful to society. All right. Aureus Financial, I've got a lot of money tied up in Aureus Financial. I don't mind that because it's useful. It produces goods and services for the community and for society that is good. It has a good result. Look what it's helped you do. Do you know what I mean? So there's a real tangible result to society for me having this business and allocating money to this business. Yeah. Same with my real estate holdings. You buy the real estate. There's transactions that go on. There's a home for my tenants. There's work for the tradesmen. There's you're improving dwellings. Like there's a useful impact to society for me having money tied up in real estate. Okay, if someone can live there, I can live there. I can move in. It can be my home for my family. Like it's a real tangible benefit. And I think that when it comes to crypto, and I'm not knocking the whole crypto thing, I think there is some tech there, some technology that's going to come into play over the next couple of years that is actually going to provide tangible benefits for society. So that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there is a lot of nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense out there that are meme coins and things like that just add zero value to society. There's a lot of the NFT stuff. I think it's a bit fashionable. I think it will become useful at one point in time, but I think a lot of it's just a trend that if I own this JPEG or you own it, I don't know how that produces any sort of tangible benefit to society. And then when we're talking about the metaverse, I don't like what that stands for. I don't like a little bit. I don't think we should play some video games. That's fine. I used to love video games when I was a kid. I don't have time to play them now, but I used to love video games when I was a kid. But don't live your life on the computer. Go out and meet real humans, have physical connections. You know what I mean? Be with your partner. I'm picturing guys in their 30s that have never been with a woman that are sitting there in their undies, eating Doritos and living this life online. I don't want that. I don't want that for society. So it's because there's too many cons compared to pros for me in that space. And the tech will come and the usefulness of it will remain. It's like the tech boom in 99, 2000. Most of those companies in America collapsed. They're not around anymore. But you got your Googles, your Facebooks, your Amazons now. There's a number of very useful companies that came out of it. And I think it's going to be the same with this entire, NFT, crypto, metaverse space. 99% of it will be rubbish, and then there'll be 1% that changes society. But I'm just not smart enough to know what that 1% is, so I'm staying out of it.
Yeah, I like that attitude. And this is what really makes sense to me, that this metaverse is probably the one that really grinds my gears, because I'm the same. We need human touch. We need connection. And the coolest thing that we have around tech is that we can do this together.
Yes.
And I don't know you. I'm a massive Sam Panetta fan. Right?
Love that.
I don't know you. I haven't touched you. I haven't shaken your hand. I haven't given you a hug. That we've been able to use tech in a way that makes me feel close to you as a person.
Yes.
So that's where it's good. But at the same time, I want to be able to, at some stage, have a feel of how that can be to you, right?
That's the thing. This has been amazing, right? The relationship we've built online or digitally over the phone, and all the other different 10 ways we've communicated with each other. But I'm still looking forward to the day where I can shake your hand with a firm handshake. And that outranks any other form of communication for me by 1,000 miles.
Me too. Yeah, I think that's really, really important. And I've got one last question to you I want to ask you.
Yes, mate.
And this is about legacy. Like, people talk about this all the time, and legacy has to be, if you want to create a legacy, there's a few ways, right? The influence that we have to create that legacy, the bigger we want to go, has to involve financial nous, doesn't it?
I think some people have done it without financial nous. They've done things for society and the community. I think your impact can be bigger if you have money. It goes back to my environmental thing that I mentioned earlier. If you had very large amounts of capital and you had a lot of influence in society, you could pull strings and get things done. And I think that's where money becomes useful if you are pursuing a very big thing in your life. It's just the way our society is built. Those with power and money have more influence to change things. Some people aren't going to like that comment, and I'm not making an ethical judgment call on that. I'm just saying that's how it is.
Well, Logic and Reason says this. I traveled on my bicycle down the west coast of America, and there was an area called the Redwoods Forest in Oregon, and I read this tablet around the guy who saved the redwood forest, because 1% of the redwood forest exists now in the world. For this one dude who he created a legacy because he wanted to save it and he knew what was going down. They were all getting shaved, right? So one guy who had the money, and this is another person who I really love, an Aussie guy, our crocodile hunter man.
Steve Irwin.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. I saw a video of him the other day. I've watched it 10 times. I can't stop watching it. And he's saying, I don't need flashy cars. I don't need a flashy house. I don't need any of that stuff. You're going, but I cannot get enough money. My thirst for money cannot be quenched, and I'll take it from anywhere, and I'll do whatever I can to get as much money as possible. And he goes, I'm going to get that money. I'm going to buy as much land as I can. I'm going to save the flora and the fauna. I'm going to save the wildlife. And that just personified exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
The more money he could get his hands on, the more animals he was going to be able to save. But what a mission. Like, why? You can jump out of bed with a mission like that, Jason,
and that comes with a big why, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. He knew what his passion was.
Yeah. So this is what I'd love to ask you. What's your big why for us? Like, I'm getting support for you. Like, what's your big why? What's Aureus's why? Why are you doing what you're doing to help people gain financial freedom, wealth, and a legacy for their families, or for a bigger deal? Like, why are you doing this?
Because it creates a better society. It creates a better community. It creates a better life if people are financially fluent. Do you know what I mean? It allows them to do bigger and bigger things. And personally, I know for myself, and even for Jacko, my business partner, we watched our parents work very, very hard, right, for their entire lives. And I've seen other people in my family, my friends, work very, very hard and not they didn't do too bad, but if they hadn't made a couple of certain decisions along the way, they would have had nothing to show for 30, 40, 50 years of hard work. And you don't want that. I don't want that for people. I want people that if they're going to work hard and make an impact to society, to have something to show for it at the end and the ability to continue to make a bigger impact. And, educating people around money goes a long way to achieving that. And it's even, I say within all my team, like I know what all my team's inspirations are, what their goals are, what they want out of life. And we do whatever we can to facilitate that within, the Aureus group, because if we're helping our clients achieve their goals, we want to achieve our goals. We want our team to achieve their goals. Like it has to be congruent, that whatever someone's pursuing, facilitating it as best as we can.
Yeah, I think this is really important, listeners, because I'm hoping you're getting this vibe. We've got a humanitarian moneymaker here who actually has an absolute need and requirement for his own fulfillment to fulfill other people's desires and wants to create not just an experience for their life, but the lives of their children, their children's children, and their children's children. And this is an amazing attitude. I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity to have you on Uncovered, Sam, to have that wisdom that you have and the reason why you're doing it. And I think this is really important. This is why our podcast is called Uncovered, because we want to know what's underneath the surface and the reason why people are doing what they're doing. And you're an impactor. You have the right attitude. You've changed my attitude today. Just by hearing the way that you communicate around money, I can walk away from this podcast and say, thank God I have your help, and thank God you exist, and thank God Aureus exists for the opportunity for hopefully some of the listeners that listen to this are going to contact you. And this is my last question. How do we get a hold of you?
Oh, how do you get a hold of me? So if you go basically on any social media platform, chuck in Sam Panetta, you'll find me. If you want to reach out to me, I'm always happy to have a bit of banter and help out where I can, or jump on the Aureus Financial website, AUREUS financial.com.au. Lodge it through there. You'll find us. We're all over the web. We're even dancing on TikTok if we have to. So you'll
yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, listeners, these guys are the real deal. I trust them 100% with my family, my life, everything. I've finally found my golden nugget that I can actually feel 100% safe with around my finances. And if you're in that place where you're not maybe comfortable with money, hopefully this podcast has helped change your attitude around it. And if you need some help, these guys are second to none people. I've had quite a few of my friends utilize your services, and they are so happy with what they've been given. So I keep poking them to you guys as much as I can. So thanks, Sam, for jumping on today. I really appreciate your value and your time.
Thanks, Jason. You're an amazing human, mate. I've told you before, and I'm going to tell you again. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't buy it, so add me as a friend. And if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.